Hi folks, this is class number 6, Hebrew for All. It's going to be a system which will help you and everyone learn how to read, write, and speak Hebrew, and it's going to be a lot of fun along the way. My name's Shlomo Eitan. Here we go. Now, we'll start with a teeny bit of a review from our last class in which we demonstrated the concept of agreement. What I'm referring to, and you can look back in prior class 5, for example, and see that when we create a phrase in Hebrew, we must have agreement between a word like they, which is haim in Hebrew, and guarding, which has to be the masculine plural form. Haim, shom, rim. Or we could step down alternatively to a verb like in number 5, he drinks. He, if you've memorized your E chart, who, and then drinking, you have to remember what the word is. You can pause this film and check your memory, because you just don't want to go ahead and ahead without knowing the material well. So who, and I'm giving it to you, shoteh. But you want to make sure that you can go up and down this sheet and feel comfortable that if this were a live class with me, and I would say to you, how do you say in Hebrew, she closes? How do you say in Hebrew, they merit? You could do it. Okay? That's my expectation. And if you do that, then you can be confident that you're going to go straight through the roof with your Hebrew. Okay, so moving right along, what we're going to do now is learn something new. And what we're going to be learning new is this concept of the transition between a present tense and an infinitive. Okay, so this has got sheet P 0.22. Start my pen working. And there we go. So we have a present tense. And we have something called an infinitive. Now you needn't fear, I'm not going to be using grammar terminology that will be a turn-off or that I'll lose some people with it. I'm simply picking words that over the years I have found consistently that students can get very comfortable with them. An infinitive is any form of the verb, or it's, the form of the verb with the word to in front of it. So, to sing, to dance, to come, to go, to buy, to eat, to sleep, to cook, to read, to write, to show, all of those are infinitives. In Hebrew, the word to, T-O, going to, is symbolized by the letter lamed. All infinitives are going to start with the letter lamed. So, if we would deal with our granddaddy of all Hebrew verbs, the word shomer, and I wanted to move it into its infinitive form, how do I go about doing that? First thing I do is I take the lamed and put one dot underneath it. Second thing is I bring that first letter, the shin, over and put two standing dots underneath it. Now the tricky step is that I must transform the position of those two internal letters, the mem and the vav, and then, last but not least, I bring over the resh. And now I can say the verb to guard, lishmor. Okay? So if I took another example, for example, number 5 here, and the word over there said, and I'm intentionally writing it a little bit out to the left, lo medet. Okay? Lo medet. What you want to do is appreciate that the fact that that's a feminine singular form, it's not going to make any change whatsoever in how the infinitive is formed, because the infinitive has nothing to do with masculine or feminine forms. It's simply a word in its own right, just as it is. So if you like, you could, so to speak, to use a mathematical terminology, reduce this to the masculine form, which would be lomed. You might be able to do that whole entire step right in your head, and then carry it over and create the infinitive. So, first letter is the lamed, with one dot underneath it. Doing a very mechanical process. There are people who can do this intuitively, bam. We're interested in helping everyone become good at Hebrew, which means breaking down everything into the steps. So then we bring over the next lamed, which is really the first root letter of the word, and we transform the two internal letters, the vav and the mem, into mem and vav, and then we, so to speak, tack on our daled. Now, in addition to having learned the granddaddy form, like we did on sheet 0.1, we also learned on sheet 0.2 those words that are like koneh. So, since koneh is a sub-pattern of shomer, the concept of changing from the present tense into the infinitive is identical, except for one very significant change, which you'll see in a moment. First of all, lamed, because it's going to be two. It's going to be two by at the end. I bring over the kuf, which is the first root letter. I transform the position of those two internal letters, vav and nun, into nun and vav. And then instead of drawing that hey over, no, I'm putting in its place a tav, leak, note. All of those verbs that had a hey as their third root letter, all the verbs that we learned on sheet 0.2, and in fact all the verbs of the Hebrew language, and that's a little bit of an extreme generalization. There might be a very small number of exceptions to this, but fundamentally for our purposes, all the verbs of the Hebrew language that had a third root letter hey, their infinitives are going to end with this ot sound. For years and years I've been calling them OT type verbs. And in our upcoming class, we're going to see a little bit more about this division between those verbs that are like lishmor and liknot. So, you have some verbs on this page. I'm going to scroll down for you for a second. It's going to look probably like everything disappears, but then it's going to come back in once I'm a little lower on the page. And there it is. You have more words on the page, 9, 10, and 11, and you can practice them and making that transition from the present to the infinitive, a necessary part of speech for us. Enjoy work, and we'll see you at the next class. Shalom, shalom.